What about Kamasutra? What about Tantra? On the one hand, these are spiritual concepts, but on the other hand, these concepts are about sex. So the question arises, on the way to enlightenment, is it good to have sex or is it better to avoid? What could we learn from these old teachings? What would I recommend? And why? You will get in this video. There's another video about having a relationship on the way to the enlightenment. You will also find on this channel. But today we talk about sex specifically. Is it good or is it bad, as some religions say? But first of all, let's make clear the terms Kamasutra and Tantra. There's a big misunderstanding in the latter one. Many people believe, and there are also big movements and teachings about that which are modern, but which are not the true Tantra. And these are about having slow sex, having very soft sex, that this is kind of a sex. But basically, Tantras are just higher Buddhist teachings. Teachings which just people understand, which have a deeper understanding of the whole thing, of that way to the enlightenment, to God. And this has nothing to do with sex. These tantras are more about the meditation progress. There is also a video about the meditation progress here on this channel. And the other word, the Kamasutra, has the same problem. It is not absolutely about sex. This is more about sex. Yes, there is a book called Kamasutra, which is about sex. But basically, sutras are just old teachings, comprehensive worldly wisdoms. And the Kama Sutra is not only about the sex positions. It is about the sex positions, that is true. But it's not only about that. Before it comes to the sex positions, there is a theoretical part also, which is basically about when lust or desire can be good or bad. So that desire can have a use. We can make use of desire, for example, for motivation. Sex basically is not bad, as, for example, in some religions, like in the Catholic area of Christianity, for hundreds of years, they defamed sex as something bad, very bad. And it caused so much feelings of guilt and shame in the people. Still, there are people now, after many generations of abolishing these too strict teachings, still there are people which suffer from neurosis of suppressing sex. So what do I recommend? Still, I also would recommend to not do it, to avoid it, but not for strict reasons, to say I'm a religious person or I'm a person on the way to God or on the way to enlightenment, so I abolish it or I avoid it. That's not the reason. The reason is that you focus your tasks, and your task is to stay in the meditation as best as you can. And when sex is leading you away for hours, because you are thinking then of a partner, or you are even entangled in thoughts or in overstimulation with the phone if you are alone, or even with partner and you are looking the porn. So there is the big problem. It distracts you. And whenever this happens, it is an obstacle on the way to the enlightenment. And that's why I say you have to avoid it. But you don't have to avoid it for the rest of your life. You can see it as a goal even, that you will be later allowed to do it when you already reach the enlightenment. You can say, okay, when I reach the enlightenment, I can have a partner, I can have this sex, and I can have this everything. But first, on the way to that certain point of the consciousness shift, you should avoid it. That is what I recommend. But if you don't want, of course, you can adjust my recommendation how you want. You can say even you just reduce it, you don't avoid it, or so you can handle it and adjust your lifestyle how it is best for you. But now there is this misconception, which you now maybe think, or which now people could say, so now she said to avoid sex or to reduce sex, but we have to do it because the body wants it. Even Plato says something like this. But this is a belief which we build up in the youth or when we become young adults. As children, of course, we don't need the sex. And suddenly there is this belief, we grow old, Now we are adult. Now we have to do it. Then we make it a habit. And then it's there. And then you apologize to yourself. We have to do it. The body wants it. Yeah, but the body just wants it because you made it a habit earlier. That's the problem. And then the next point is, of course, they say, okay, when you abolish it, there will be pain. I have heard from a friend, for example, he suffered so much and I felt so much compassion. I wanted to help him. And then I remembered I had also the pain. At male, it really appears physically that there is pain. But for the female ones, it appears more illusionary, or maybe for some even it appears physically. But for both, there are even some herbs. In alternative medicine, there are some herbs to overcome that pain. Whether it is illusionary or it is real, it doesn't matter. There are some herbs you just have to take for 1 week. This is the time of, the hardest time of the part when you abolish an addiction. And of course, when it's a habit, actually it's an addiction. It depends. No? When a habit is very often, then it's addiction. When it's not too often, it's just a habit. But still, it's similar to an addiction. And whenever there is an addiction which is abolished, there are abolishing symptoms. That's normal. When you drink the coffee and you one day stop to drink the coffee, then of course, 1 or 2 weeks you will suffer. But besides the herbs, there is of course also a meditation which will help you, not just only help you to overcome the suffering, but also it will overcome the sexual thing, and you can transform this energy to another energy. There is the video on the channel where I describe this transcendental meditation. And of course, everything what I tell here is not just about sex, as I already mentioned. It is also, when you do it alone, it is also about masturbation. There is, for example, a movement called NoFap. You can find YouTube videos about that. There will also be good reasons why to not do it. For example, as I mentioned it, the aspect with the overstimulation, it entangles your eyes, your ears, your senses, and distracts you and brings you away from the concentration on the meditation. And that's a big obstacle on the true path. And the next thing is, those ones of you who have more creativity and are about having thoughts about sex when doing it, or even have thoughts about the partner when the partner is not there, even their thoughts, they are distracting you. And that's the biggest problem, and a very deep obstacle on the way to the shift, to the enlightenment. And especially in a partnership, there's another obstacle, because many partners do double often as if they would be alone. If someone is alone and he has the idea to do it, then he does it. But when it's coming to a partnership, then there is another person, and sometimes one person has the idea to do it and has to convince the other person, to, like flirting and these things, that the other person also gets lust, and then they do it. And at the next time the other person is about, he or she wants the sex, then again he or she convinces the other partner, and so they do it actually double often. And that's not good, because it will even distract more often from the meditation status. Why did I stop all these activities? I stopped it because about 8 years ago, something like this, I read in old Hindu teachings that from any kind of sexual activity, you lose life energy. Of course, it's obviously, you know what, you lose a bodily life energy, because after sex, in most cases, people become tired. Or sometimes even people after sex have little more energy for a short moment, or maybe for an hour. And after then, later they get tired. So there is this high peak, same like with alcohol or with sugar. And after then, of course, it comes to the relaxation, but not the relaxation in the sense of meditation and too much relaxation. But we have to stay awake with our consciousness. We have to focus the meditation. And so this loss of energy is a big obstacle. But as I already mentioned, there is also a possibility for energy transformation. Also, I know it from old Hindu teachings, and I was figuring this out, and I wanted to do some research on it because I was so interested, but I could never find it out. But one day it came to that moment where I just started to meditate. When there was the sexual feeling there, that desire there, I just sat down, started that meditation, started to do something with the consciousness to transcend it, and then it worked. And that's why I now can talk about in these videos that I can really recommend that you stop it, because it's not what most people think. And there are so many misunderstandings that people think we have to do it, but it's just an illusion, as I already mentioned it. And if you learn this meditation method, you will know and understand what I mean here, and you really will have benefits for your path to the shift, to the absolute enlightenment. I hope I could bring some insights or some new knowledge for you here, because it's not just that I talk anything or something like this to take center stage. It's not easy to stay here. First of all, I'm shy, I'm introverted. I don't like to stand in front of the camera. I just do it because I have the deep wish inside of me. Since I had the insights, I want to share it, because I want that many people benefit from it. And that's why I stand here. And not just, it's about not just being shy and introverted. The next thing is I'm talking about sex. Even this is not easy. First of all, I'm basically introverted, and then even I talk about the most hardest topic. But just because I want to help you on your way to that final shift of the enlightenment. So make the best from it. Have a good week. See you soon. Bye.